2 starts into Nolan McClean's Mets career. He's absolutely dominating, showing flashes of excellence, and he's got Mets fans asking, is this just what the team needed?
2 starts, 2 victories for Nolan McClean. He has joined rarefied air, joining Matt Harvey as the only Mets pitchers to debut with at least 15 strikeouts over their first 2 starts. And everyone is raving about the stuff. You talk to scouts, you talk to the teams he has faced. What Nolan McClean is throwing at hitters is just downright different. The sinker inducing ground balls, the sweeper, getting whiffs against lefties and righties alike. Nolan McClean has injected this Mets rotation with a shot of energy. It is so exciting to see what he and the rest of this Mets rotation will do down the stretch, especially with this young stud in the mix.
Hey, John, pick up the phone. Pick up the phone, John. Pick up the phone.
Hello?
You know who it is?
No, who is it?
It's the Mets, and they're back.
Got him.
How many times have we done that this year?
Probably that's the 25th time, but, look, I know that Sunday's loss was frustrating and in some ways infuriating, but I think all things considered, as Mets fans go to sleep Sunday night, wake up Monday morning, there are so many things to feel positive about, especially coming off the first leg of this 2-stop road trip. The Mets taking 2 of 3 from the Atlanta Braves, and there's a lot to unpack here. Friday night was a laugher, and Saturday became a laugher, and Sunday was a hard-fought ball game. The Mets still haven't gotten that sweep at Truist Park, but still, Mets fans should be very, very encouraged by what they saw down in Atlanta, namely Nolan McClean's second start, striking out 7, walking none in a dominant outing, completing 7 innings, and then the resurgence of Mark Vientos, who has been just on fire, 5 homers in his last 7 or 8 games, I think it is, and Mark Vientos seems to be the Swaggy V that we all know. They list him as born in Connecticut, but he grew up in Miami. So, Mark is the Connecticut guy. Swaggy V is the Miami guy. We got Swaggy V right now, and that's what this Mets lineup needs, in addition to the Brett Baty, who has had a big month of August in general. Lindor has been hot. Soto has been hot. So this lineup is cooking, as we know. It's been documented. This was an encouraging veto series, or a series veto. Do you agree with me on that one?
1,000%. I'm leaving this series feeling pumped up, even with the loss on Sunday. And look, if there's one thing John and I've gotten used to, it's recording an episode after 2 nice wins, but 1 loss on the day we record. It's just the way it falls sometimes. I was a longtime Sunday season ticket holder at Shea Stadium and Citi Field. I saw a lot of losses on Sundays. It just happens. But before we really get into this, John, I do want to remind people, I'm Vito Calisi. That's Jonathan Barron. This is Meet at the Apple. Reminding you guys and asking you guys once again to please go leave a review, leave a 5-star rating, type something out, give us that review. It goes such a long way. It really helps us grow the podcast. Also, we got some DMs and some tweets from people who are interested in joining the first annual Meet at the Apple Fantasy Football League. So if you want to be one of those people, hit up John or myself on Twitter or tweet at us. Let us know you want to be in the draft. We'll put something up this week trying to finalize those last spots, but could be a really fun thing to carry us through the offseason. But John, yeah, dude, 100%. Friday night and Saturday were what this team needed. It was what the fan base needed. Seeing this team go on an all-out offensive explosion got me fired up. And how about, would you be down to just do the top 5 early on and just get this thing on the road?
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense because there were so many good moments. So, Vito, let's get to it. The top 5 moments of Mets Braves, presented by
nobody other than PC Richard Son. So here it is, the top 5 moments of Mets Braves, starting off with number 5. Last week, we talked about Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto going back-to-back. This week, Juan Soto and Francisco Lindor hit the double steal.
Yeah, it seems like those two right now are competing to see who can get to 30 stolen bases first. And I love this. The Mets have been so aggressive on the base paths on Saturday. They stole 4 bases. They hit 6 home runs. It was just an all-out barrage of ability by this Mets lineup. The first time they'd ever done that in franchise history in a single game, stealing 4 bases, hitting 6 home runs, and the meat of the order, Lindor Soto being on base for a double steal. That is what you call versatility, Vito.
All right, number 4. We've been asking for it. We need these starting pitchers to start going 6 innings plus. Clay Holmes goes out, possibly fired up from a start from Nolan McClean the day earlier, but Clay Holmes goes out there, 6 1/3 innings pitch, only giving up 2 runs and 4 strikeouts, John.
Incredibly economical work by Clay Holmes. I think that there's something to what you just said. The rest of the rotation, seeing the job Nolan McClean did. We talked to David Wright. You asked him, what impact does a young guy coming up like this have on a ball club? I'm sure there is such a jolt of energy that's given to the rotation, especially by a young guy coming up, carving through the lineup like McLean did on Friday. Clay Holmes is like, okay, young buck, 24-year-old. Well, I'm going to go out there and do it myself. And Clay Holmes, say what you want, has been such an underrated part of this Mets rotation, especially in year 1 as being a full-time starting pitcher. An ERA right around 3.5. Remember, the quality start, 6 innings, 3 earned runs. That's a 4.50 ERA. Clay Holmes has been a full run better than that. The experiment, the signing, the philosophy, the vision has paid off for the front office and for Clay Holmes, Vito.
100%, John, and that Clay Holmes start is going to bring in moment number 3 because Starling Marte throwing out Nacho Alvarez at the plate, and then the best part about it was a little pew-pew he gave right after. Had me fired up. That's going to be a gift that I use probably on an everyday basis now.
Well, it wasn't the only pew-pew used by Starling Marte, who homered later in this game, but I was surprised by the send in that situation. A relatively shallow hit ball. It was right around this time 3 years ago, a game on Apple TV against the Phillies. Marte playing right field where he gunned a runner at home. Marte's got a great arm. You heard Mendy talk about Starling Marte after the game on Saturday. He's healthy, he's having fun, and we are seeing that reflected each and every day. If you go back to July 3rd, he's got one of the highest batting averages in all of baseball. Now he's being asked to play the outfield with the injury to Brandon Nimmo, and he is doing a great job. We know that arm has stayed sharp, and we saw it on full display on Saturday. Do not run on Starling Marte. And, of course, we got great gif.
Number 2, Nolan McClean goes out there, continues to absolutely shove, which you could tell by the title of this episode. I mean, it's either up here or down there. I don't know where it is right now, but 7 innings of 2-run ball with 7 strikeouts. The kid is here.
He is here, and I know lots of Mets fans are just, losing their minds about what Nolan McClean has done, and rightfully so. We can't wait for his next start, scheduled Wednesday against the Phillies, but McClean, after Friday's start, joins Matt Harvey as the only pitchers in Mets history with at least 15 strikeouts through their first 2 career starts. That is impressive company. There have been so many good pitchers that have especially debuted as Mets that have not accomplished that. For Nolan McClean, each and every time he takes the ball, it's a learning experience. For him to go on the road in North Carolina, Cave, the group of Braves fan, going to Truist Park in front of the Braves fans and dominate the way he did, Mets Nation had the time of their lives watching that game, enjoying that game, watching Nolan McClean as he went get stronger, just embarrassing Ronald Acuna Jr. late in that game. And the biggest thing, Vito, no walks issued. So far, so good for the young stud Nolan McClean, who it looks like he and the Mets made a pretty good choice, leaving hitting in the rearview mirror, although I would love to see him pitch it in a big spot. That would be pretty cool. But for now, the starting pitching has been A-okay.
And John, you said in front of Mets fans, in front of Braves fans. You forgot also in front of a Braves dynasty that he grew up watching. I mean, he had Larry Jones there. He had Tom Glavine. He had all of the big boys out at this game watching him front and center, even in the booth at one point. If you can show up in front of people like that in Braves country, I'm fired up for the kid.
Yeah, and Steve Gelbs had a great report on Saturday where he went into the Braves clubhouse and asked some Braves hitters what they thought about the stuff from Nolan McClean. And he quoted Nacho Alvarez saying, that is some of the best stuff I have ever seen. And, the RPMs, the revolutions per minute, that checks out. He spins the ball like really nobody else. The sinker was active. I think it was 12, 13 ground ball outs. He had a strikeout with 4 different pitches on Friday night. So the arsenal is deep. And like I said, as he continues to go, as he continues to face more hitters, right? Each and every batter is more experienced in the major leagues for a young pitcher like Nolan McClean. He is only going to get better. He is only going to get more confident, and that is what you want from your young star. The Mets seem to have made the move, pushed the right button at the right time, because they are 2-0 in the 2 games started by Nolan McClean so far.
And then we got to talk about another one of the young bucks, the number one moment of Mets Braves, Mark Vientos. Now, when we do these top 5s, we boil it down to one moment. So even though Mark Vientos went on a 3 plate appearance streak of home runs, that can't be it all encompassing. We got to pick one moment. So I decided to go with the 2-run home run in game 3. Now, I know this game ended up at a loss, but 3 home runs on 3 plate appearances in a row for Mark Vientos is showing really good signs of what we could see in the September run. And even though they ended up losing the game, this was early offense early on that put the Mets in a position to win, all on the back of Mark Vientos. It's just like you said at the top of the episode, John. This is the Mark Vientos we've been wanting to see all year, and this is the Mark Vientos that's going to help catapult this team into a playoff spot. And then you know how Mark Vientos does in the playoffs.
Yeah, right now that's 7 extra base hits during a 7-game hitting streak for Mark Vientos. And I know it's been kind of a long struggle for Mark this season, but the biggest thing for Mark during that 7-game hitting streak, 31 plate appearances, only 5 strikeouts. He's making pitchers come over the plate to where he wants to hit the ball. He is not going out of the zone. He is not getting himself out. He is not making life easy on opposing pitchers. 5 homers, 2 doubles in the span for Mark Vientos. Using all fields, we know how important Mark Vientos is to this Mets team. They showed up to Port St. Lucie in February expecting and needing a big season from Mark Vientos. He is delivering right now. That is a big reason why the Mets took 2 of 3 from the Braves in this series. And I am so excited for Mark Vientos to go home. Mets fans, when the Mets are home this week, especially Monday, his first plate appearance, a round of applause. Get loud, get proud. Mark Vientos deserves it. He is as hard a worker as they come, and it's paying dividends right now. Let's give this guy his flowers. Let's give him his due, and let's keep supporting him and the rest of his teammates, Vito.
Yeah, John, and as hot as Mark Vientos has been, we got to bring up Brett Baty, because Brett Baty has also been so good the last few weeks, not just at the plate, also playing third base, playing second when he needs to, having the versatility of Brett Baty and having Brett Baty just show power, show glove flashes over the last few weeks. The team is starting to really feel complete as they start to put some of these wins together.
Yeah, and I think that, you go back to spring training. I talked about February showing up to Port St. Lucie. Brett Baty and his ability to quickly adapt to second base, and for the Mets to trust him to play second base, and the job he has done in his first year as a second baseman now allows for Baty's bat, which we've seen, like I mentioned earlier in the episode, be one of the hottest bats in all of Major League Baseball in the month of August, be in the lineup at second, and Mark Vientos' bat also at the same time be in the lineup at third base. So that is such a huge area of growth for Brett Baty, for him to both learn a new position and also be able to go with the ebbs and flows. And we saw him be the Mets' hottest hitter in the month of May, and then he struggled in June. And he started to bubble in July, and now he's back to being one of the Mets' hottest hitters in the month of August, all while doing it, playing a new position. We've also seen him play a lot of third base. Brett Baty, to me, Vito, is really a bona fide Major League player. I don't think there's any doubt about it at this point in time. He is a guy that belongs in the major leagues. I don't think there's any more trips down to Syracuse for Brett Baty. He has really, really impressed against lefties, too. In July, he really started to lock in against lefties, where he wasn't pulling off and rolling over, but that slider away on the outer half, which a lot of opposing teams try to beat him with, especially the lefties. He wasn't rolling it over. He wasn't pulling off. He was going with it. And now he has become what seems to me a fully blossomed Major League player, both offensively and defensively, whether it's a righty, a lefty. You don't have to look at the platoon split. You don't have to be afraid of Brett Baty against the lefty anymore. And to me, that's so important. So the Mets really seem to have a couple of bona fide hitters in the lineup. And, that's only going to make this lineup deeper. And I think that's a big reason why the Mets offense has been as potent as it's been for the last 2-3 weeks.
And you know what, Brett Baty, I know if ifs were, what's the term? Oh, it's if wishes were fishes.
Thoughts were candies and nuts, then every day would be the holidays.
Something like that. But that's exactly what I was trying to say. Brett Baty was like 2 feet away from I almost cursed there. Like we talked about last week. I'm way more of the cursor than you on everyday life. But Brett Baty was just a few feet away from a game-changing moment on Sunday. And it's look, it obviously didn't happen, but seeing those flashes, seeing those moments where these guys are coming up in big spots and putting hard contact on the ball, it's awesome. And you know what? This is not a top 5 moment, but I need to give a shout out. Tyrone Taylor being able to get a base hit on Friday while slipping. I was fired up.
I'll one up you. How about Tyrone Taylor's catch he made on Saturday to help Clay Holmes get through the 6th inning?
Oh, yeah.
That was an unbelievable play by Tyrone Taylor, who, every time you see him on the diamond, whether, he's hitting 8th, 9th, just out there playing center field, he makes an impact. And we keep going back to the trade the Mets made in David Stern's first offseason as Pobo of this team. And he acquired Tyrone Taylor in addition to Adrian Hauser. And Tyrone Taylor, every single time he gets an opportunity, he makes an impact. And that catch, that ball was sinking quickly. I should have looked. I didn't look at the StatCast metrics, the opportunity time. But honestly, sometimes I feel like those StatCast metrics don't do a play like that justice, because it depends on, where the guy was positioned. Tyrone Taylor made as athletic a play as you will ever see on a baseball diamond. The SNY camera did a great job cutting to the Mets dugout. Those guys were in awe. Yeah, I saw, I think it was Jeremy Barnes. I read his lips. That was sick. And it was. So shout out Tyrone Taylor for, like you said, the double. The Mets, bottom half of the Mets lineup on Friday was incredible. The Mets pounded out, 23 hits? A lot of it, the bottom half of the lineup, making the Braves pitching staff and bullpen just absolutely work and decimated them. And then him making that catch on Saturday. Great weekend for Tyrone Taylor. The Mets are going to need more contributions like that as they push towards the postseason. You know what? I'm going to look right now and see if we have a score update in Arizona.
We're recording this around 6:30, so
it's not good. It's not good.
No, Reds took the lead.
Something like that. It's 6-1 Cincinnati. Vito, I said it last episode. Look, Diamondbacks took 2-3. Friday night's game goes to extras. Corbin Carroll made a great play to keep that game 5-4. Diamondbacks tied it in the 10th, won it in the 11th. September 5, 6, and 7. Mets Reds. That is a massive series. Market calendars. Mets have a huge homestand coming up. 3 with the Phillies, 4 with the Marlins, 3 in Detroit, and then it's going to be 3 in Cincinnati, each game being a 2-game swing. But you know what? We're not scared. That's why we play, right? That's why we love this. That's why we watch. That's why we do this. So
it's fully going to be scoreboard watching season this week at Citi Field, which brings me back to last year. Do you remember the first time it really started bubbling up when the Braves score changed during, I think it might have been during Mets-Phillies. I can't remember exactly which game it was, but the Braves score changed late in the game.
It wasn't Mets-Phillies. It wasn't Mets-Nationals.
Mets-Nationals.
It was the night Acuna hit his first career home run.
Yes. And then you saw the Braves lose the lead, and all of Citi Field started cheering, going nuts. To then you saw the camera in the Mets dugout. The Mets dugout also started looking up and cheering.
And then what happened? Do you remember what happened after that?
No.
We showed it, and a little grimace appeared.
Oh, okay. I do remember that from the corner, right? It was the one that used to pop up all over the screen.
Yeah.
Man, I hope I'm fans cheer for scoreboard changes this week. That had me electric last week. Also, J-Mac last homestand brought back I heard he was one of the main people doing the scoreboard countdown, the pitch clock countdown again.
I did hear that. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be, first of all, the weather cannot be any more perfect. If you take a look at the forecast for this week at Citi Field, Phillies in town. Look, this division's not over, right? 7 games? Where have I heard that before? I think we all have the scars to remember that and prove that. So it's going to be a big week at Citi Field. Kodai Senga going for the Mets on Monday. Phillies in town. It's going to be a packed house. Like I said, 3 and then 4 with the Marlins. So scoreboard watching is in full effect. I mean, this is fun. This is fun. And like we said after the last series where the sky was falling and everything was terrible.
Mean comments.
A lot of comments, mostly negative. But what happened, guys? The Mets went to Atlanta. They took 2-3. Most of the negative commenters most certainly did not expect that to happen.
No.
Now they're coming home. Beautiful weather. our house. Let's enjoy it. Let's have some fun. Got some fireworks, got some pyro, we got all the bells and whistles. We got our boys. We got Vientos hot.
John, I got to give a shout out because I was talking to somebody on IG, Deep from Left on IG, who makes really cool merch, makes a really cool hat. We were chatting and he said to me, thanks for the follow, love the pod. And like when people say that, like you don't like sometimes like people just say it as like a nice thing to say, you know? But then he said, also tell John I love the fireworks. And I was like, I like that because that's somebody who's actually listening.
That's appreciated. I mean, I'm not the pyro guy myself. I mean, there's a whole lot of stuff that goes on, but appreciate that. And
you're like you're like the vibes officer of when it comes to the pyro. I feel like though, aren't you?
Sure. And what's awesome is we found a new way to incorporate some fireworks with Mid-Six Mayhem during our night games at Citi Field, which has been a great success and so many fans have enjoyed it. But that all goes into Citi Field being the best place in baseball to watch a game and root on the Mets. So it's a lot of fun. This homestand is going to be the same thing. We do have our final post-game fireworks show of the season coming up on Friday, August 29th against the Marlins. Of course, weather permitting, but nothing but night games until Saturday. So it's going to be an incredible homestand. We got Pokémon GO night on Monday.
Ooh.
SNY night on Tuesday, where Gary, Keith, and Ron will be in pin form and a lot of other surprises. So make sure you're there. Wednesday night, the 27th, we have Sesame Street night. I'm very excited for that. Queens Culture Night on Thursday. Like I said, fireworks on Friday. And then Sunday, we got Blippi Day at Citi Field. So literally every single day. I didn't mention Saturday, but Saturday, 4 o'clock start. That's the Lindor bobblehead, actually. So there's something on Saturday one, right? As well. Yep. So literally every single day at Citi Field, this homestand, there's something for the entire family, no matter what kind of fan you are, the casual, the diehard, something in between. You've got it covered at Citi Field. It's going to be a great time. So make sure you're there. Join us. Let's have some fun. Let's make life tough on the Phillies. I'm nervous about the Marlins in general. We always are. I was watching them against the Blue Jays this weekend. That's a fun team. That is a young team. But I think that their youth plays into potentially a couple advantages for the Mets, which I won't get too deep into, but we'll leave that there and we'll maybe pick that up on Wednesday night. But that's what I think. So I want to see everybody out at Citi Field making some noise with us on the entire homestand. Let's go.
Yeah, we got some cool pitching matchups. We got Kodai Senga going Monday night, Sean Manaea going Tuesday night. Wednesday night, we get to see the second Citi Field starter, Nolan McClean. Nolan McClean getting a start against the Phillies might be one of those first. We've seen two major starts from Nolan McClean, but that first start against the Phillies in a tight race where the Mets are battling for a playoff spot could be one of those moments you look back on in a few years. You're watching SNY, and there's like a nice 30-minute piece about the 2025 season. But it's going to be a sick week, and another sick thing coming up is September 8th. John and I will be at the PC Richard Son Astoria, where we will be doing a live podcast. The Mets will be also playing the Phillies that night. We'll be there around 6 o'clock. Mr. and Mrs. Met will be there. We'll be doing some giveaways. We got some Juan Soto bobbleheads, some David Wright bobbleheads, some Shea Stadium replicas, a Kodai Senga signed hat, some other signed baseballs. We always give away a ton of stuff. We try to make sure everybody leaves happy, leaves with at least a little something. So hopefully you guys can come out. We'll be putting more of that information online. But John, it is a huge week at Citi Field this week. I mean, we talked about all the off the field stuff, but man, this is going to be a bloodbath at Citi Field. Especially Phillies are going to be coming in hot, man. They have not won at Citi Field in 2025 yet.
Yeah, I mean, look, forget the Phillies and whatever their inspirations are. It's going to be, like you said, a bloodbath. These are two teams that met in the postseason last year. There's a chance these two teams meet in the postseason, potentially in the wild card round.
Which would be so funny. After never battling in the playoffs before, if 2 years in a row, they now become playoff rivals.
If a couple things work out. And also, real quick, I want to shout out Zack Wheeler. The news came out this weekend that Zack Wheeler is going to undergo thoracic outlet syndrome surgery. And, it's just a shame. And we here at Meet at the Apple obviously wish all the best for Zack Wheeler, who has had quite a career. Injury plagued, as we know, in New York, and came back and was incredible in 2018 and incredible in 2019. And signed with the Philadelphia Phillies and only continued his upward trajectory as a pitcher and became a perennial Cy Young contender. And while it sucks that happened in Philadelphia, he is nothing but class, and he has been just truly one of the most consistent, steady aces in the game. And of course, we always want to beat the Phillies, but we never want to see an injury like that. So nothing but the best to Zack Wheeler, and obviously health is the most important thing. So we are looking forward to the return of Zack Wheeler. All the best wishes to Zack and his family. But like you mentioned, it's going to be a huge series. Mets-Phillies for the first time in quite a while, since June 2021-22 at Citizens Bank Ballpark. You remember the Mets taking the middle game of that series, all the home runs that they hit. The Mets are going to try to get back. You mentioned the Phillies are going to try to get back to the Mets. The Mets sweeping the Phillies at Citi Field back in late April. So going to be a big series, but for the Mets, just win ball games, one pitch, one batter, one inning, one game at a time. That's the way to take it. If you take each little microaggression as they come, you find yourself winning ball games. You put yourself in a good spot. At the end of the day, you right process, you get the results. That's what the Mets are in right now. This is a fun race, Vito. This is a fun race. This is turning into hanging in your butts time. I know it's not September 1st yet. Kids aren't back in school, but boy, oh boy. Boy, oh boy. Both sides of the equation, right? I mean, hey, you guys want to feel down on your luck. They haven't started in the Bronx yet. They're about 35, 40 minutes away from first pitch on Sunday night. But, I mean, crikey. It's, imagine being on that side of the coin, right? I don't want to get too much into them. I don't want to talk too much about them, but it's true, right? There's so many ups and downs.
Yeah. You see every night. I mean, look, there's a few scores I think every Mets fan looks at when the Mets game is over, right? You look at the Phillies score, you look at the Red score, and then you look it over at another team in the AL East
mechanism. Did they win or did they not?
Yeah. It's not like it doesn't affect anything other than my mood. Sometimes on a bad night, it's a nice little endorphin booster.
Like dessert. It's like dessert.
You get to sleep a little.
Dessert. It's dessert. It's baseball dessert.
No, it's New York baseball has been it's been a weird summer for New York baseball, but I do want to just say something about Zack Wheeler real quick, because I was really bummed to see the news. I mean, not funny story, but when I had my daughter, I had a friend send some gifts for my daughter, and one of the things he sent was, he was like, I feel like nobody ever sends anything to the dad, so I threw something in there for you. And he got me a 2015 game-worn Wheeler jersey. They still wear it. They still wear it. But it was like a really nice gift, and he was like, look, there was a big price difference between the ones that had dirt on them and the ones that were clean. But it was a really thoughtful gift, and I actually had the Philly series circled since I got it, because I was like, oh, cool, maybe I can get this signed by Zack Wheeler when the time comes around. And then, you see the news, and it's just, my thing is such a meaningless aspect of that. Oh, I'm bummed I'm not getting it. I saw that, and I'm like, it's one of the last things you want to see. I mean, we saw Matt Harvey deal with that injury and then struggle to come back. And somebody like Zack Wheeler, who's just so talented, and just as a baseball fan, you don't want to see somebody go down like that. So it's just, it's tough to see, and wishing Zack Wheeler the best, but injuries are tough. Injuries happen, and all we can do is just play the best baseball on this side, and hopefully the Mets can take advantage of some different pitching matchups that they might see against the Phillies this week.
Hey, I did this last episode. It kind of worked. I'm going to do it again. Beautiful weather all week. Like I said, Monday morning, you're going to wake up. The commute, hopefully not too bad. You get your Dunkin' Donuts. You get your newspaper, whatever it might be. You catch up on your reading. Brand new day. Let's win a baseball game. Let's win a series. Let's beat the Philadelphia Phillies. Mm-hmm. Let's make life tough on them. Why not, guys, right? And gals, we got nothing to lose. Let's enjoy. The Mets are back in town. Guys are hot. The bats are hot. They're hitting. They're clocking home runs. The pitching staff's going deep. Let's enjoy this homestand. We've got the opportunity. Until they're mathematically out of it, I'm not going to stop believing. Are you? You're not going to stop believing. I know you're not going to stop believing.
No, and as you said in the last episode, you got to believe is our thing. And don't let those Philadelphia scoundrels come into town and try to take that from us. But guys, before we get out of here, one final reminder, please rate, review, subscribe, meet at the Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. leave a 5-star review, write a review. Again, I said at the top of the episode, I'm going to say it now. You would not believe how long of a way it goes when you do that. Also, if you're listening along, share a screenshot, post it on Twitter, post it on IG. Let us know you're listening. We love to engage with you guys. That fantasy football league, we're setting it up in the coming weeks. Let us know if you want to be involved in it. We still got a few spots left. We're still trying to figure out how to even organize this thing. Let us know. But thank you guys for listening. And hopefully we will see you September 8th at PC Richard Son in Astoria, Queens, where we'll be doing giveaways. We'll be doing prizes. The mascots will be there. Please come out. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll meet you next time at the Apple.
But before that, Vito, don't forget to meet your friends at the local PC Richard Son store. They have the absolute lowest prices, the friendliest and most knowledgeable sales staff. No matter what, I went myself this past week, this Friday. Shout out Carson, New Hyde Park location. He was incredible. Boy, oh boy, did he help me. But I really did get the lowest prices, so it was great. No matter what it is, TVs, sound bars, grills, mattresses, any appliances you guys are looking for, they have it all, and then some at PC Richard Son, and they truly have been doing it for longer than anybody else in the game. Since 1909, Richard is reliable. You can take it from me. You can take it from Vito. Take it from our friends at PC Richard Son. They will help you out, and they are the absolute best. So please do yourself a favor. Head out there.